highlights channel of the Ranveer Show. This is TRS Clips. What's your take on Pakistan's current and future scenarios?
Pakistan is a perpetual nuisance, is how I put it. But right now they are in a bit of a spot because their traditional support base has been the US. And while you see how Prime Minister Modi is going to be going on a state visit to the US this summer, and we are like a strategic partner, comprehensive strategic partner, whatever, everything's going great. We are working together on semiconductors, military, da 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 da. It wasn't always like that. For the longest time, the Americans kept India in play, but also kept India in check. And to keep India in check, they kept promoting the Pakistanis. It's a fact. We've all seen how when we were developing missiles in the 90s, the Americans imposed sanctions on us, on ISRO, on DRDO, on others. But the Pakistanis were doing whatever they were doing with the AQ Khan network, and they just, Bush Senior, and then for a brief while, Clinton also looked the other way. I think the turning point really was the Kargil misadventure from the Pakistani side. Until then, they were given a lot of leeway and they were given a lot of money. Now what's happened is that money, the source of that money is drying up. And now they're depending on the Chinese for that money. But the Chinese money is very, very tricky to get. It is a debt trap. And they will not think twice before pulling the rug from under your feet. You know, these Chinese power companies that operated in Pakistan, they did not get their bills. So Pakistan was plunged into darkness for the longest time. You must have seen about the nationwide power cuts. So those things happen. Then the Pakistani state invested a lot on the Taliban. Now the Taliban have a country to run. And the Taliban are showing them that they also have a mind of their own. They are behaving like the Taliban. And that poses a serious security challenge. I don't know if you followed the news, but in recent weeks, there have been cases of gunfire at the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. They're fighting back. And they're saying, if you want us to curb terrorists on your soil, the Pakistani Taliban, you will have to pay for it. And you'll have to pay this much money. Where will they pay from? They can barely run their country. So the economy is on the brink of collapse. The source of money is drying up. Pakistan is also for the longest time depended on countries in West Asia with their whole Muslim Ummah brotherhood thing. But India in the last few years has really strengthened its relationship with Arab states. You look at UAE, you look at Oman, you look at Saudi Arabia. They are not going to beyond a point support Pakistan on Kashmir. The Turkish did, but look, I think what we did with the Turkish earthquake is a masterstroke. We sent aid. So we are neutralizing slowly all of the pockets of support that the Pakistani regime had. And now there's so much disturbance within. You know, Imran Khan, every day they say he's going to be arrested. He still remains a very popular leader. There's unrest in Balochistan. There's unrest in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It's like the perfect storm that Pakistan is going through. And we don't want the state to collapse because we can't change the geography. We can't change who our neighbor is. And all of that tension will, to some level, spill over.
What's your geopolitical prediction?
Is it too complicated?
No, this is great. You can go even deeper.
No, this is fine, I think. But I thought I touched too many threads.
People love this kind of content.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Geopolitics is really kind of awaited by college students now and by teenagers, which is what's cool. Like when I was a teenager, it wasn't the case. Didn't know what's up. Yeah. Internet's made people smarter through information, and now it's the age of opinions. So anyway, go on. What's your geopolitical prediction? Because I feel it's one thing to talk about what's happening now. And there are very few people who can kind of, I don't want to say predict the future because it sounds gimmicky, but that's basically what I'm asking you to do about Pakistan. Like, where do you think it's going in this decade? And you're the right person to answer this because of how much you have to observe because of your job.
Yeah, so where is Pakistan going? I think it's going deeper into the China club. And that is the new challenge for the West, because they don't want this to happen. At the same time, they don't want to give money to the Pakistani generals. So how do they control the beast without feeding it more? So the world wants to make sure that Pakistan does not become another North Korea. It also doesn't become another Afghanistan. But Pakistan in itself, I mean, I think the world is very late in realizing how much of a threat it poses. And there is no such thing as a good terrorist and a bad terrorist. For the longest time, the kind of money the Americans have pumped into Pakistan is insane. They've given them weapons, they've given them practically everything that they wanted. It's such a skewed policy. And now they're doing the same thing with Ukraine. You know, Ukraine is being supplied a lot of ammunition that is coming from Pakistan. Poland and the UK and Canada, they've signed deals. They're working with the Pakistanis. It's the mindset that because you don't share a border with Pakistan, it does not pose a threat to you, is so flawed, because 9/11 happened to the US and it did not happen from a country that was bordering them. But I think policymakers are always looking at managing problems and not solving them.
You're basically saying it's been a volatile country ever since its inception. And therefore, going forward, as is the case with volatility, it's unpredictable what will happen, but it's likely that it'll be a volatile situation.
It may break up, for all we know. The country may break up. There's just too much tension. And the fault lines are really beginning to show.
Do you have a prediction for roughly when?
No.
Okay.
I'm not into predictions.
You do believe that borders constantly change, as is the case with history, right? Like borders constantly change over the course of human history.
Yeah. But after the borders changed a lot, but I think in the last 100-odd years, with the concept of nation states emerging, you know, we're not kingdoms anymore. We're not like countries operate in multilateral forums with rules that apply, and most in the 200-odd countries that we have in this world, barring a handful, most do follow those rules. So I think going forward, climate change will change more borders than geopolitics.
Okay. You know, 1,000 years from now, if the human race still exists, they're going to look at our generation and our great-grandparents' generation as roughly the same time. Yeah. Because it's 1,000 years in the future.
Yeah, but they'll watch our podcast and they'll know it's not the same.
Unless a comet hits Earth, which it might in the next 1,000 years, and internet wires get destroyed and data gets destroyed on memory cards. You know, that's an actual possibility. If a comet hits.
Wow.
Yeah, and comets hit the Earth regularly. It's just not spoken about enough and cause a lot of damage. Look into the work of someone called Randall Carlson. Sorry, we're going astray.
No, it's
okay. But I still believe that during our lifetimes we are going to see some borders change.
Yes, we are seeing borders change. You know, this whole thing with Ukraine, it's happening. Yes, borders are changing.
Okay. So these are playlists made especially for you. We've tailor-made learning experiences for you. TRS clips.